Hi there, my name is Aaron Lanchman. I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Georgia Tech, and this is my quarantine hair. And today we're going to look at TI. Not that TI. Not that TI either. Instead, we're going to put on the top hat of time invariance.
So in the last lecture, we looked at the concept of linearity. And in the next lecture, we're going to look at the concept of causality. And the system property we're going to look at today is time invariance, which I will often abbreviate as TI. So if systems are not time invariant, people tend not to say it's time variant. They'll actually say not time invariant, but your mileage may vary. Anyway, here's the general idea. So imagine we have a happy system. Now, the system may be linear. It may not be linear. That's an independent question about whether it's time invariant or not. Now, if it turns out that a system is linear and time invariant, if it's both of these, then there's all sorts of techniques we can bring into play, like Fourier transforms and Laplace transforms. But if a system isn't linear, you can still do some interesting things if it's time invariant. On the other hand, if it's linear but not time invariant, that's usually a little easier from an analysis standpoint because linearity is really the big main concept that makes our life easier. If a system is linear but not time invariant, you can modify some of the techniques we'll look at in various ways and still do useful things. If it's time invariant but not linear, it's automatically going to be complicated. If something's not linear, it's just going to be really super complicated, whether it's time invariant or not. Anyway, in order to put on the top hat of time invariance, a system must have the following properties. If we take a signal and shift it before going into the system, so this is going to be a shift operation. Maybe we'll say what comes out here is going to be x of t minus some shift amount. Let's call it delta. Okay, so that's what's coming out here. Then we get some resulting output y of t out of all of this. If the system is time invariant, what that means is that we can take our signal, put it into the system first, and again, if it has the top hat of time invariance, then we should be able to take the output of the system and then shift it. Let's see, I do want to make a distinction here. So how about I'll subscript this with an S1 for shifting first. Down here, run it through the system first, and then shift it second. What's coming out of the system, say, let's just call that YT. Then we'll call the result of shifting it next, Y, let's call it S2 for shifting second. And what is this? This is going to be whatever came out of the system minus that delta. Now, if it is actually truly worthy of wearing the top hat, time invariance, these two things need to be the same. And it needs to be the same for any delta you want to try here. So shift it forward, shift it back, doesn't matter either way. What's really convenient about systems that get to where the top hat of time invariance is that the concept of where is t equals 0 is kind of arbitrary. You can take inputs and shift them around, and in terms of what you call t equals 0, it doesn't really matter. So you could say t equals 0 is the start of when you watch this video, or maybe t of 0 is when the meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs hit the Earth. All right, so let's look at some examples. Mostly what I want to do here is give you some intuition and not necessarily prove every single thing. Now, systems that just shift the inputs, let's say you multiply this by 4. It doesn't matter if you're looking into the past or looking into the future, whatever it may be. I could take this and square it, and that's perfectly fine. This isn't going to be linear anymore, but this will still be perfectly happily time invariant. What you need to do is to make sure all of your x's have a t in them with nothing in front, and that you're either adding or subtracting numbers. You could make this 1.3 if you want. That's fine. They don't have to be integers, of course. We're in continuous time. Now, anything you do to the t inside the x is going to be bad news. So if we do something like, say, x of minus t, or say, let's make up another system here. Let's say it's 2t. This is all going to mess up the time invariance. And you can prove that to yourself pretty quickly by trying to put in a shift and seeing that this thing will distribute and the shifts are going to change going in and out. Stretching, compressing, mirroring a signal, all of these things are going to mess up your time invariance. If you did something really crazy, like let's say you took the absolute value of the time, that's going to mess up your time invariance. So all of these things are not time invariant. If you were to take t and square it, that's going to severely mess up your time invariance. Anything you do to the t is bad, except for you have a happy t and you add or subtract numbers from it. Now, you might think, well, what if I don't have a t at all inside the x? Well, that's going to mess you up too. Let's say you had something like this. Here's the sixth system we're looking at. If I say x of 3, at first glance, you might want to say, hey, is this guy time invariant? Well, maybe it is, because intuitively you look at it and you're like, there's no t in here at all. But this is definitely not time invariant in a fairly aggressive way. And remember, all of the properties we're looking at, linearity, causality, we'll look at next time, and time invariance, they need to work for all of the possible input and output combinations. Again, in a practical standpoint, the operation of a certain circuit consisting of capacitors and inductors and resistors is going to be time invariant within the realm of scale that you're going to be using it. 500 years from now, the capacitors may have leaked and gone bad. So it's time invariant over the reasonable time scales that we're going to be practically looking at these things. Anyway, so to show something doesn't have a property, all you really need is one counterexample. So let's do a counterexample. Let's say I put in a function that was x of t equals t. Okay, so this is just a nice happy function. And remember, everything we're talking about, linearity, time invariance, causality, these are properties of systems. It doesn't make sense to say that a signal is linear or that a signal is time invariant. These are about systems. All right, so suppose we put this into our system. What do I get out? Well, I'm going to get out, let's call this system number 6. So if we put this into the system, what we get out, well, I'm going to get the number 3 out. Okay, that's fine. And when I say I get the number 3 out, I mean if I make another plot versus time, I just have a constant sitting here at the number 3. You know, nothing very fancy here going on. Now, what if I shift it first? All right, so let's get some shifting going on here. Let's say I shift it to the right by just one value going in. So it now looks like this. Okay, so now I've shifted it first. And so now when I look up what it is at 3, I'm going to see the number 2. So now when I ask the question, okay, well, what is this at x equal 3 now to see what's coming out? I'm going to see the number 2. Well, this constant function that's now sitting here at 2, that is definitely not the same as 3. So you need a t inside of here. If you want to add or subtract 3 from that t, that's fine. But again, this is not time invariant. This is not going to be time invariant. All right, so that's talking about the t's inside the x's. Well, what about t's sitting on the outside? These are bad. This will automatically make something be not time invariant. And let's take a look at that for some particular case. We'll call it the number 8 system. And let's see what happens if we put a signal into here and then shift it. Well, as I mentioned before, I know ahead of time, this is not going to be time invariant, so I really just need to show you one example. So suppose I have a function, and this function is 1 between 1 and 2, and it's 0 outside. So if you really wanted to, you could write this as a difference of unit step functions. I could write u of t minus 1 minus u of t minus 2, and there's other ways you could write it. In some sense, the graph is the real universal truth, and these kind of equations we write, which are not unique, are particularly useful ways of expressing that particular truth. Let's try running it through the system and then shifting it. And again, I can pick any shift I wanted. If it's going to be time invariant, it has to work for any shift that you try. Well, let's see. What do we get out? So here I've got 1. It's going to be 1, multiplying 1 by 1. But if I'm multiplying by t equals 2, it's going to be 2. So it's sort of this half a house looking kind of function. Let's shift that by some amount. Let's say we shift it by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd to the right. Well, where does that land then? I still will have the same basic shape and it's been shifted. The only difference here is at this point, it's going to be 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 1. And at this point over here, it's going to be 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 2. Same basic shape, just far in the future. Now, let's switch the order. So now let's say, okay, well, what am I putting into the system now? I'm going to be taking this and shifting it first. So here I still have a function of height 1, and this guy over here is going to be 6.02 times to the 23rd plus 1. Sorry, I was being overly ambitious when making up this example. All right, and it's going to be over here at 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 2. Great. Now let's run it through the system. And when I run through the system, remember what the system does. The system takes our function and multiplies it by t. What comes out of here now? Okay, well, I'll still have a function going from 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 1 all the way up to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 2. This is a really ridiculous example. But now, there's no way I can even draw this to scale as I was before. Because think about where this function is going to go. This guy is going to start here at 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 1. This guy is going to be way up here. Oh my goodness, it's going to be, well, it's not going to be much higher than this, but it's going to be way higher than this. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd plus 2. So very different things. And probably the sooner we leave this particular example, the better. Okay, at this point, I forgot what number we're up to in our examples. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 9, I forget. But again, anything you do with t outside of an x is bad news. If you add t, that's going to be bad news. But you can add a constant to it. That's perfectly fine. Now, as we looked at last time, this will mess up the linearity. So this is not linear. But this is going to be perfectly time invariant because you can shift this constant around. That's fine. It's just having t's outside of the x or having t's where you've messed with this in any way other than adding or subtracting a constant from it is bad news. All right, so if you are not taking ECE3084 with me in the summer 2020 semester, you can check out now. But if you are taking ECE3084 with me in the summer 2020 semester, I want a little bit of piece of information from you just for fun. And I also want to make sure you watch this video. By the time you're watching this, I should have finally gotten around to setting up our Piazza discussion sections. I'll make a category in here, and I'm going to call it something like Lecture 7. Actually, what I would like you to do is respond to a post in Piazza that I'm going to create, and I would like 2 pieces of information. So first, I would like you to take the first letter in your last name, and I would like you to convert it to a number in the usual way. So A is going to turn into the number 1, Z is turning into the number of 26. So take that number, whatever it is, 1 to 26, and I would like you to add the number 42 to it, and then include that in your message. And then the other thing I want is, where are you now? So in which city are you currently struggling through this distance learning thing? Now, my preference would be for you to post to Piazza, but I want to give you another option because I want to be able to respect your privacy. So if your location is not something you would want to share with the rest of the class, you're welcome to email this information to me as an alternative. Again, this is not preferred, but I do want to give you this option. And if you email me, and be sure to put 3084 and put lecture 7 task somewhere. So the words lecture, the number 7, the word task somewhere in the subject line so I can find it quickly. I want to give you that an option to respect your privacy.